and welcome to sallyhughesbeauty.com. I am in the bathroom again. I'm in the bathroom with someone I really admire and somebody I asked to do an in the bathroom with a year ago or something. It's taken us a really long time. It's Charlotte Mensah. Charlotte is a fantastic hairdresser and businesswoman. She owns the Hair Lounge here in West London. She's 3 times winner of the Afro Hairdresser of the Year. And she's also hairstylist to lots of really amazing women like Erica Badu and Janelle Monáe and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and Zadie Smith, just like really, really great women. And so I just really wanted to catch up with her. This is a very, very clean bathroom.
Thank you.
This is one of the cleanest bathrooms that we've ever been in. I'm slightly intimidated.
Really?
Yeah. Are you a neat freak?
I can be, but I've seen some amazing bathrooms on your previous ones that you've done, and I was like, wow, look at these people's bathrooms. It's so palatial. It's just incredible.
You look like a very ordered, organised person, are you?
I try to be because my life can be so busy, and I just like to have things that I know that, oh my God, that's there, so I can get it. And yeah, I just like things to be neat.
I want to explain to people how we ended up doing this because so we had a bit of a personal connection about a year ago, and we've been trying to do this since then. So, and it kind of leads into why I think you're so brilliant at what you do. My friend Nadia Shireen, who is a children's book author who works completely outside of our industry and claims she knows nothing about beauty, was going through a bit of a weird time personally, and I said, you need a haircut. And she said, I hate going to the hairdressers, can't stand going to the hairdressers, they never know what to do with my hair, I don't know what to ask for, I don't know what's possible, can't stand it, that'll put me in a worse mood, not a better one. So I said, I know where you need to go. So I sent her to you, and she came back, and I honestly don't think it's an exaggeration to say it was like life-changing for her. She said she had never known such, apart from the fact that the haircut was just like perfection in terms of the skill and the technique, it was just perfection. But she said she had never known such a kind of nurturing environment in a hair salon, such a kind of a warm, nurturing environment. She said that it was the first time she'd ever really enjoyed her experience. And we got talking about that, and I suppose I wanted to know from you, because we don't often do hair people in the bathroom. What is it about hair that can have such an impact on how we feel about ourselves? Because that's obviously quite a key thing for you.
Yeah, it is. I think hair is so important because I think, you know, you could have the most expensive dress. If your hair doesn't look right, you can't even see that expensive dress. And hair is everything. You just that confidence, that, you know, it's a very kind of, it's a very spiritual thing as well for me with hair, because I feel like, in particular, my salon, I see it more like a sanctuary that's like very holistic, because women often come in there and they spend like hours, like you're trying to get them out, and they're like, I love it here, I've just cancelled my other appointment, it's just too good here. So for me, I love people first and foremost, and I love to just see people happy. And I think hair is something that can give you this incredible confidence if you get it right. So when these women and men come through to our salon, it's like, what can we do that someone down the road isn't doing that would make them really, really appreciate the experience here? Because the haircut is important, but the experience to me is everything, because, you know, you go to a salon, you're getting your hair washed, that's so therapeutic, it's very important. That actual part of the hair service is so important, because it's almost like having all your problems washed away. So I make sure, like in our salon, that it's very, very, it's so clean in there. We always have lovely music. And the girls that work for me, I'm always like, you guys need to be on it, give the best service, give the best of yourself at all times. And we find that often women come in there and they're just like, I can't go anywhere else. You know, they'll fly in from Senegal, Nigeria, America, and you're like, what, you flew all the way here just
to get their hair done?
Their hair done, because it's such an amazing I mean, you could look at some of the reviews that people write. Sometimes I even shed a tear. I'm like, what? Someone actually said this?
I mean, Nadia literally did shed a tear.
Yeah.
She said she'd never known anything like it.
Yeah, it was just, I think, like I said, I love people. So first and foremost for me, it's just winning that person and just really getting to know them, because I've not done their hair before. I don't know what they like, but me getting to know them and being really welcoming with them, it makes it easier for them to let me know what they like and what they don't like, so we can arrive at the right point, because consultation to me is really important. So we spend a good 10-15 minutes just chatting. What do you do for a living? What's your lifestyle? Look at how they dress.
It's really intimate, isn't it, hair? People are
So
touching
intimate.
you. You're literally touching
Seriously,
somebody,
it's spiritual. That's what I'm telling you. And like between, I remember doing this talk for BBC Radio 4 with, it was called The Conversation. So I was in Ghana at the time, and the person I was having a conversation with was in India. So the first thing they asked us was, how was your day today? How's your hair? What have you done with your hair today? And she said, I've just come back from the temple. I've had all my hair shaved off. And I had just had like these waist-length braids put in. So I'm like, well, I've just had my hair braided all the way down to my waist, because I just think, why not? It's just a bit of an accessory. Let me change my hair. And then we got talking, and then we realized that the whole thing with hair is actually quite spiritual, because you meet someone in the space of seconds, you're touching them. And in all industries, like especially in the beauty industries, but like, let's take for instance, if you're selling clothes, if you're cooking, you don't really have that personal touch.
It's very intimate.
And then you can actually feel them. So I've become a bit, I won't say I'm a therapist, but I've become a bit like, I can kind of read people, and I just know even without them telling me that they don't like something. And because also with the clients as well, they've been coming back to me for a long time. So you can always tell when something is up. You could just see in their body language, they're just, the energy is so low, and you could feel it as you touch them. So it is very, very holistic how we approach hair in our salon. And I think Nadia was just like overwhelmed.
Ready for it.
Yeah. And she just kind of needed it at that time, and we spent like so much time chatting. Like I felt like I knew her for 20 years, and I only just met her like an hour, and it was like,
When did that happen? When did that happen for you? So when did you realise for the first time that you had this real gift, not just for the technique, because obviously your technique is extraordinarily good, but when did you realise that hair would be such an important thing for you, that you didn't just have the talent for it but also the love?
I think I realised that at the age of 13, as young as that, because unfortunate for me, my mum passed away. And my younger sister was 3 at the time. So I was the one that took it upon myself to be like a mum to her. So I'll do her hair, we'll make food together. And I love fashion. So I used to look at all these magazines, and I'll look at images, and I'll be like, I think I could do this. So I'll try on her first. And she's only 3, so everything was amazing. She goes, you're really good, it's amazing. So I was like, yes, I'm good, So at that age, I sort of did it as a hobby. It was never set in stone that I was going to be a hairdresser or anything. But I remember like all the trauma that had happened with my mum passing and just the family being broken. I didn't do as well as I thought I would in my GCSEs. So when the careers officer came round, immediately I just was like, I think I actually like hairdressing, because I feel like I'm quite confident in it. I've been doing my sister's hair for like 2.5 years now.
Quite interesting though, isn't it? The way you talk about your approach to hair, actually, when you retrace your steps, you started doing hair as an act of maternalism, didn't you?
Yes.
And so it's to lose your mum and then to start doing your little sister's hair is such a kind of nurturing maternal thing, that you've probably taken that approach into your professional hairdressing. That's probably they're probably inextricably linked, aren't they?
Seriously, there is, because even like the clients that some of them, I met them as a baby, like 6 years old child, and now they're like 22 and I'm doing their wedding, or they fly me to Barbados, and I've known them since they were 15. So I always feel like I play that role anyway. Like people come to me and they tell me stuff, and I'm like, you're telling me this, are you sure you're me? So it's very much like, definitely. I had no idea that it was going to take me this far, because when you sort of begin, you're like, I think I'm going to do hair. I like it. You know, I went into London College of Fashion.
Yeah, so what happened then? Sorry, I interrupted you because I was interested in your little sister. But what happened then? So the careers advisor came round and you said, oh, actually, quite fancy doing hair. So, what happened then? You enrolled at LCF?
Yeah, so I got into, there was a training scheme called YTS. So I got onto that training scheme. And then with the YTS, you have a day release where you go to college.
Yeah.
So I was trained by the first Afro salon that was opened in the UK called Splinters. It was on Maddox Street in Mayfair. And automatically I got the opportunity to also go to London College of Fashion. And at the time there were people like Alexandra McQueen, Stella McCartney. I mean, you would see them, but they weren't like my friends or anything. But I was like, wow, look at me. You know, coming from, like, at the time we were living in Edmonton. So coming from Edmonton to like big London, because everybody would say, oh, you're going up to London, to Oxford Street. And like, you felt really like this different world, because in the salon, the sort of people that came in were like Diana Ross, and like, you'd be like, wow, like, look who's walking in. It's just like, the dynamics were just like, wow.
And so was it then when you were at Splinters, was it then you decided that you definitely wanted to specialise in Afro hairdressing?
Yes.
Did you know that from quite early on?
I think when I was at college, we did both European and Afro. Yeah. But the salon that I was trained in was predominantly Afro hair. So I just had a natural flair for doing it, because I became so good at doing Afro hair. But in my salon now, we do all hair types. Yeah. I mean, curly hair ranges from, you can meet a Japanese person with curly hair, or a Jewish lady comes in and she's got a big, massive fro, and you're like, wow, you know. So, naturally I had the knack for it, and then just continue.
For more kind of textured hair. I suppose that's your speciality, isn't it? The kind of textured hair.
Yeah, for sure. I love what you could do with the hair, because it's so versatile. You could do so much with it, but it is the most vulnerable hair type as well, because it breaks easily. So you really need to know how to care for it and how to really nurture that hair type. So I'm all about training as well. I'm always, you know, like when I'm in Ghana, I do a lot of training for underprivileged kids, like really teaching them how to do hair well, like, because everyone can do something, but the fine details, like.
I want to talk about Ghana in a bit, and your foundation, because that's a key part of what you do. But before we do that, so you work lots with young people and teaching hair skills. But in fact, after you left college, you got the opportunity through the Prince's Trust, did you not, to make your beginning? What did that look like? Oh
my God! So I did my training at London College of Fashion. That was for 2 years, and my YTS was 2 years. And I continued in the salon as a junior stylist. And then at the age of 22, I had my son. So I was quite a young mum, and I wanted to be as much a mum to my son as much as also chase my career and build my career. So I would do like a couple of days in the salon, but spend the 4 days like being with my son, taking him to nursery, raising him and stuff. And I always thought to myself, you know, I want to be this mum that can do both. How am I going to do that? And how do I even get to own my own business? Because it's not easy. You go and ask for the rent off a shop. It's like, wow, how do they do it? So then I remember going to, years ago, there used to be a Portobello Business Centre on Portobello Road. And they sort of gave me advice and said there is this organisation called the Prince's Trust, and they're very good at helping kids and young people from underprivileged backgrounds, and they can help me to set up a business. So I was like, how? Because I don't know anything about business. And the good thing about the Prince's Trust is like they put you through all this mentorship. So you meet with someone, there's so many courses that you can go on, and they really teach you how to kind of like run your own business. So once you get to a stage where they feel like you're eligible to get the grant, then they'll put you through to the next stage, which is hopefully to own your own business.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you'd wanted to become a hairdresser. There was obviously, if you're talking about being 22 at the time, there was obviously something in you from the very beginning that was thinking big, that was not thinking, oh well, I'll just have a part-time job in a hair salon. Not that there's anything wrong with that. but you obviously had a bigger ambition from a young age. I
Yeah.
don't think there are many 22-year-olds
No.
who have that sense of scale about it all.
No, I think I was raised in Ghana. Like, I was born in the UK and left at the age of 3 months. And I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather used to run a brewery. So he was a very, very astute businessman who would literally spend 2 months away traveling, getting business. So I always saw that business side, but I just saw it. My grandmother had loads of skills. She used to do our hair, she used to bake, she used to grow all the food. She did so much. She made our clothes. But as a young girl, I used to look at her and think, God, she's really good, but how come she doesn't get anything for it? I always used to think in my head that this woman is so kind.
And
she
a grafter.
She was also a very devout Christian. So she spent a lot of time praying. She did a lot for the church. People just came to her and they'll come with all these stories and she would just load the bag with food and just give them. And I used to think to myself as a child, God, she's so kind, but why can't she just use these skills to so that we can have a little bit more? Because she's so tired. She's making our clothes. She's doing our hair. She's cooking the food. But if she was selling the things, maybe we could have a bit more money and someone could come in the house and help us. But she was one of these amazing women that had all of us, like, we all had chores. So you had to clean this in the morning. My other sisters had to do the hoovering. So we all had, and there's like 8 of us. And she had 8 children, and all of her children also had like 4 each. So we lived in a house where there was about 46 of us. So it's a big house.
Wow.
Big house with lots of people. So she was very orderly in how everything went. So I think as a child I saw that. But when I joined my mum in the 80s, I joined my mum at the age of 11. So I'd spent from the age of 3 months to 11 in Accra, Ghana. And all I saw was like, you know, grandma had everything laid out for us and we just followed her rules and we lived in this house with her. I came to London. We lived in a very small place in Stonebridge where my mum and dad had just got divorced. So it was just us kids and my mum. She's working for British Rail. She would get up really early in the morning and leave home like 5. So it wasn't that family wasn't there as much as like what I had in Ghana. So I think at that point I realized that, God, I'm going to make a difference. I want to be different. I don't want to be this woman who is having to wake up at 5 a.m. and slog all these hours just to bring a little bit of food for her kids. And I think that's how my mind started changing. I think I had all of the foundation from seeing all my grandmother's skills in terms of she can cook, she can bake, she could do hair, she can sew, and she loved fashion. She really always made sure that for church we looked immaculate. People used to come up to us and take pictures of us because they thought we were the most neatest kids they've seen in the church. So I think I had that in me that I'm definitely going to do something different, but I didn't know what it was. So it could have been anything, but I knew that I wanted to make a difference. And I think through my mum passing and me just getting more skillful with my sisters practicing all the hairstyles on their hair, I just naturally worn to hair. And also because it was really a sad time for us, so at work it always seemed like a happy home because there was loads of people, and it was in hairdressing, it's very sociable.
So people, it's like a family.
It's like a family. So people were coming, hi Char, what are you doing this weekend, blah, blah, blah. And so you always felt happy at work. And then my boss was this extraordinary person. He was so strict with us. He would even smack you if you're late. Yeah, wow. He was so strict with us. He would say, look at you don't even know how to dress properly. He was so strict with us. And I think I felt like I went into a really loving family. So that made me feel like, yes, this is it. I'm definitely going to pursue my career in this.
So so you got your grant from the Prince's Trust and you started up and you opened your own salon. So obviously you've worked very hard and you've had the skill and you've got this strong entrepreneurial gene running through your family. But even with all those things in place, everyone needs a bit of luck. So what do you think your big break was? Was there a moment where you thought, hang on a minute, I'm on a roll here, things might be happening for me?
I think for me was definitely, I don't know, I think just, it's not actually even to do with hair. I think I I had my son, I was living in North London, and I was living in a 1-bedroom flat. And I remember there used to be this surgery that you could go to, and it was like, you sit down with the MP and tell them that you need help. And I met Frank Dobson, who was the Labour MP. And I remember just talking to him and saying, look, you know, I feel really alone. I've got this child, and I don't know, I don't feel like my life's going well, and I really need a change. I need to be somewhere. And one of my aunts lived in Ladbroke Grove, so I'd love to be somewhere near there. And I remember him looking at me thinking, you know, does she think there's a miracle or something? But he wrote this amazing letter to my landlord, and within 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, I was given the key to this place that we're at now, this house, yeah? So I remember like coming to like Notting Hill, and then I was like, what? They are giving me this is like, and I remember like speaking to my dad about it, and my dad was like, oh, it's got too many stairs, you know, you could live in Harrow. And I'd be like, no.
Oh my goodness.
So then I got the opportunity to buy it like a few years later. So for me, I think at that point I realised that, my God, this is a breakthrough, you know.
What a hero, Frank Dobson.
Seriously, I was like, this is a breakthrough. So I think just being in this area and seeing all the arts and everybody I know, I mean, I came to this area in the 90s, and literally a lot of the names that live here now weren't even living here. It was just the community.
So we're, for anybody watching, so we're just off Portobello Road. So Charlotte's salon is on Portobello Road. And so we're in the kind of one of the real creative hubs of London, aren't we? It's such an important part of London for fashion and art and culture and beauty.
It's everything. It's such a beautiful area. I mean, people often ask me, where would you live? I just love where I live. Honestly, it's everything for me. And this really opened my eyes, because I saw that, you know, you can really be great if you want to be great. And, you know, I saw people that are just doing things, and they're like amazingly at it, but really kind as well, and sharing stuff with me. And I'd be like, oh, look who I've got for a neighbour. They're so kind to me.
I can totally see why that was a huge turning point for you.
It was.
Moving to London was massive for me as well. It can just completely, in terms of the people it exposes you to, and the culture it exposes you to, and the nightlife and everything, it just completely opens your eyes to possibilities, doesn't it?
It does. And for sure, I was like, yes, this is it. This is like, you know, this is the opening now. So it's for me to walk through and just make it happen. And I was young. I was like 22, 23, coming up to 23. And, you know, people would be like, how did you get that? And I'll be like, I don't know. I think
he obviously saw something in you, though, didn't he?
Yeah, it was just an amazing. I mean, people write letters, people give you reference, but I think
he must have seen something.
Yeah,
he must have seen something about you that just kind of looked a bit hungry and determined.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And I think there's, you know, like when you're just really sort of, like, I think when he saw me, thought I was, because from how I was talking to him about life and stuff and what I've been through, he probably thought I was a lot older than I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And he thought, wow, this young girl is taking a lot on her shoulders.
Yeah.
And, you know, she has a lot of responsibilities. Because even though I'm here, I still have like cousins and older siblings in Ghana that I have to send money to. I have to help their kids with school. So I was telling them all of that. And I said, look, I just don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I'm not going to be able to survive this life. And I really like need help. And honestly, the letter was just...
That's so lovely.
Yeah, really, really, really kind. And I've been here since, and I don't think I'd ever leave. Unless I'm too old and I can't...
You'd be mad to. You'd be mad to leave it.
But yeah, and then I've had loads of great opportunities in here as well. I remember when I sort of left the salon that I was trained in, I was renting a chair in the salon, and I had this lovely family that came up from Sweden, and she had like mixed race kids, and she was like, you know, nobody can do my daughter's hair. They've damaged it. Her daughter was 11. Her hair was like tangled, like literally it was like a lion's mane. And the poor mum said she spends like at least the whole of a Sunday just brushing her hair. I'm like, I could just spend a whole day brushing your child's hair.
No, it's a waste of anyone's time, right?
So then I kind of show them the products that they need to use, what they need to do, and then they became like...
That's an interesting point, because so you specialise in textured hair, various ethnicities, but it tends to have this commonality of, you know, of texture. Were you driven by that need that you're talking about, that your customer identified? Did you feel like it wasn't being done well enough elsewhere? There wasn't enough, there weren't enough salons catering for textured hair?
I think there's a lot of salons. There's a lot of salons in the UK. There's a lot of salons everywhere. But the training, the level of training, and also just making the customer feel at ease. I didn't think there was that. That wasn't there. People they can't be bothered. They're like, you know, I'm not spending 2 hours brushing your hair. It just takes too long. So for us, it was always like, it's really important to meet the customer's needs, because without the customer, you've got no business. And also just to keep learning, keep refreshing, because you could be the most amazing hairdresser. If you don't keep going on courses and learning about what's going on out there, you're as good as your last job. So you're not really that good if you're still not able to cater for all the various textures that walk through your door. And why are you making someone feel like an alien? Because they walk, oh, I can't do your hair, and they feel like it's not nice. So for me, I was like, I have to make sure that I'm always up on the game. Like, you know, it's so important to be able to get the client in and just let them leave feeling relieved, because that's all they want. That's all they want. And it sounds easy, but I think it's a hard thing for most people, because a lot of people just haven't got the time. They can't be bothered, and they're like, it takes too long. I want to do a quick blow dry. It takes half an hour. The client's out. Why should I spend 3 hours on someone's hair? And you know, you might not be making a lot of money out of it, so why should I do it?
Because afro and textured hair, it takes longer, doesn't it?
It does take longer.
It takes longer. It requires more treatment to keep it in lovely condition. It can be very thick, which obviously adds time onto everything you do. You know, you can dry my hair in 15 minutes. It's thin and flat. And so in terms of what you're doing in the salon, that's quite a big undertaking. You're going to be seeing fewer clients than a European salon, probably, because you can't get people in and out
so quickly.
And also, typically, women of colour are quite, in my experience, are more knowledgeable about their own hair than a Caucasian woman would be. A Caucasian woman can more easily farm out her hair to somebody else, whereas women of colour tend to know more about their hair because they've had to know more about their hair. And so your standard of service and expertise, I would imagine, has to be that much higher. Would you say? I mean, it's quite hard, I think, your job, and hard to get customers in and out because of that level of care and expertise you're having to deliver. But it sounds like you thrive on that.
Yeah, we love it, because the thing is, we're a premium salon, so we're not...
Yeah, it's a luxury.
Yeah, it's a luxury, and we go the extra mile. So the clients that come to us, they don't mind paying, because they know that the level of care, they're not going to get that elsewhere. So they would spend that money, come to us, and be well looked after. And I think it's just... salons out there just need to be up on the game and get more education, and also you would gain more skills if you could do afro hair, because at the end of the day, that's like an extra bonus. It's an extra income if you can do afro hair. So you shouldn't turn anyone away. You should be able to cater for everyone. We live in a world now where everyone's mixing so much. People are living everywhere. So.
But you saw a gap not just in service, in salon, but you saw a gap in product, didn't you? So we're seeing lots of this now. We're seeing lots of cult, small brands look at what they do particularly well and say, actually, there isn't a product that I would just take off the shelf and use in my salon. So is that what happened with you? How did Charlotte Mensah, the brand, happen? Yeah,
so I always worked for lots of top brands for many years. I mean, I've been doing hair for 34 years now, so I literally know every brand. And I've always kind of, I'm always layering products. I'm always like, I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that to get what I want for this hair type.
So are you a mixer?
Yes, I love mixing products. So my love for like making my own brand started about 10 years ago, when I used to go to Ghana very often, I was going to Ghana like 4 or 5 times a year. And I'll bring back like raw shea butter because Ghana, northern part of Ghana has the best shea butter in the world. So I'll bring back shea butter in a calabash, and clients would ask me and they'll be like, God, your skin's so smooth, what do you use? And I'm like, well, I use shea butter, and even on my hair I use shea butter as well. So I was like, okay, let me start selling it. So then I started putting them in the smaller calabash and I'll be selling it on to the clients. And then I thought, okay, I would like to sort of get into making my own products, but I like it to be in a calabash. When I went through the British trading stand, they said no way, because the calabash has like, if you put it through like the heat and all of those testing, it will probably not survive because it's like it might have bugs in it or whatever, so it just wouldn't survive. And then I was like, okay, so I'll try like packaging it elsewhere, like in bottles or jars or whatever. So then I started looking for chemists and just looking for the way to sort of put the whole thing together. And that took some time because it's all self-funded. I don't have tons and tons of money. I'm just, trying to run my salon and make things work. So the investment was quite a lot. So it took me like 6 years to develop my product range. I was like, I need to find a way to package the products, and, just didn't have the funding because it's self-funded and it's going to cost me a lot of money to do it. So luckily I got this amazing job to go to Kenya to do one of my clients' hair for her wedding, and we were in a place called the Serengeti, and we had this amazing massage, and they were using all these oils. I'm like, what's the stuff you guys are using? Because it felt really light and weightless, but like they put it in my hair and it was still really moisturized. I was like, this is amazing, I really love this stuff. And then they told me about the oils called Manketi oil. So I began to research into the Manketi oil. So that's how that became the hero ingredient in my product.
So this oil, I mean, we'll have a proper look at products in a bit, but this hair oil, I've just got the mini one here because it happens to be behind me, but this is the proper one.
Yeah.
It smells amazing, amazing. Is that the natural smell of it?
No, so
because oil is normally odorless.
Odorless, yes. So the smell, it's again, I wanted this exotic smell that was like fresh, but still like kind of unisex, because I wanted everybody to be able to use my product, not just women. I wanted men to use it as well. So it's a mixture of chili and coconut milk.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It's so lovely.
It is.
Oil is really important on textured hair, isn't it? Moisture.
So good. It's so good because you can use it for your scalp. You can use it as like a finisher. You can use it as a pre-treatment. You can use it like, before you actually wash the hair, you put that on like 15 minutes and then give the hair a wash. So it's like it soaks in the moisture even more.
See, I'm quite terrified of products. For somebody who spends a life testing products and being so involved with brands, people often say to me, oh, will you ever bring out your own product? And the thought terrifies me. It must be really nerve-wracking. It's so much cost. And because it's got your name on the box, it has to be perfect. It has to be something you want to use yourself, on your clients, on your own hair and so on. But it also must have felt like such an achievement when those bottles came in with your name on.
Yeah, I was like, I cried because it took me so long, because I just for me, I really like beautiful stuff, and I like things that look aesthetically beautiful, but at the same time, I want it to work. Yeah. So it took me ages. I worked with my graphic team on getting the logo together, and we actually used the idea of this cloth from Cuba. I mean, not Cuba, sorry, it's called a Cuba cloth, and it's actually from Sierra Leone. So it's this woven cloth, but it's never even. So we used that and formed it into my initials. So those cubes that you can see, it's actually a C and an M.
Oh,
so, yeah. So the gold also, it's like Ghana is full of gold. It was called Gold Coast. And it's a very exotic place, and I kind of wanted the essence of that because I was born in London, but I grew up in Ghana, so I have the vibe of both places, and I wanted that to really reflect on the packaging of the products.
You say you love lovely things, and we're going to have a proper look around your bathroom in a sec, because you obviously love luxury. You've got a real thing for luxury products. But before we do that in part 2, can you just tell me about your work in Ghana? Because that's obviously been very important to you, to give something back to where you were raised.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So I started this foundation like a few years ago, and I named it after my mum. My mum was called Love.
Your mum was called Love?
Love, yeah. That was her name, yeah.
Wow.
She was a very beautiful, kind woman, but she lost her life at quite a young age, at 42. So I just wanted to really help, because I felt like I was always helping from I was a teenager anyway, because my cousins back home would always write to me, can you send me this? Can you help me start this course? Because Ghana went through a really terrible time in the late 70s, 80s, so it was quite tough. And there was a revolution in Ghana, so my grandfather lost his job, like his factory had to close down. So life became quite tough. So my mum would be the one that would work and send money home for her other siblings to be able to look after their families. So I've always felt like, you know, we've always done that type of charity work. Charity begins at home. So you've always been helping your family. And what really touched me and made me pursue it further was I had this opportunity to go to Tanzania to teach hairdressing, and there was one lady that walked for 4 hours to get to my class. So my class started at 8 in the morning.
Wow.
And she set off at 5 a.m. because she just didn't have enough money to get on the bus. And that broke me down. I went straight to my hotel room. I was on the floor crying. I was like, oh no, this can't be, what is going on? This is bad. And also in Tanzania, I saw there was little kids, like 2-year-olds, 1-year-olds that have had relaxers. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? These little kids are they're not even walking or speaking, and they're so, why is the parents so concerned about their hair? So my whole Love charity is to help young or older, underprivileged people that are coming from backgrounds that life's really tough. Just to teach them for free. I don't get anything for it. I just do it for my love of just helping people. And then hopefully they can help their families, because one thing I found was like a lot of people, they say they're trained, but who trained them wasn't even trained properly. So what training have you actually had?
Yeah.
And they'll leave relaxers on for like 2 hours. People have got alopecia and kids that have got weeping. You know, like you've got a kid that's got, why has a child got alopecia at 2 years old? It's so much.
And so you're teaching kind of expert hair skills to people so they can then train them forward and look after their own family.
That's right. I mean, initially I've got this massive land that I want to build a school. I haven't got the funds to start that yet. So what I do is I take it to you. So I just travel. So we call it like the traveling school. We just travel to you. Wherever it is, even if it means it's under a tree, we just sit down and just go through. Like I bring my blocks with me with a stand, and then we could do maybe how to apply a relaxer properly, or how to apply colour, how to do a haircut. Just really simple things to us, but to someone who's never done it properly before, that's like...
And I suppose how to make natural hair manageable on babies, so you're not having to do those things in the first place.
If the baby's got little 2 inches hair, just leave it, just tie a bow on it. You don't have to, you don't have to do anything. And I think it's just their mindset teaching them that this is not the beauty is within you. You know, the babies too, who cares? But it's the parents, they want to be seen as, oh, it's a status, my child's hair is smooth. No. Yeah. So I'm all about like, no way, we're going to make a difference.
No, we see that in all cultures, that sort of obsession status through your kids.
Yeah.
All cultures do that.
I know.
It's always a bit...
And it's really sad, because then you think to yourself, what is it? Why are they like that? Because the same person, when you're talking to them, they're like, yeah, you're right. So, well, why didn't you think of that before? It's crazy, really. Yeah. So
you, but back over here. So while you're doing all that good work back over here, you're often right in the centre of the fashion industry, surrounded by lovely things.
Yeah.
you know, you're working with all these celebrities, you know pretty much everyone. We were talking earlier, you know, you've been in this part of London for such a long time.
Yeah.
You've seen people come through and what have you, and you love lovely things. I want to talk a bit more about that and go through all your product, which is all quite posh, except I'm pleased to see that there's a load of Dove in the corner.
love Dove. I love soap. I just love having a wash with soap.
Good.
And
we'll come back to Dove.
Yeah.
We'll come back to soap in part 2.
Yay.
In the meantime, thank you very much, Charlotte Mensah. We will come back to part 2 and look at the product stash. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.